Are you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
Tucker Pullman, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well.
It did.
Welcome to the PP1 Podcast.
Wow. I must have been opening some things because that sounded botched. Did you get like a delay on that?
No. It was just the classic voice of an angel. Like
Songbird of my generation, I've been told. That's what I've been told. How are you doing?
Yeah, man. Good.
I mean, we had a long like pre-show chat, and I'm ready to kill you pretty much. Not
you're
in a literal,
very sensitive. Yeah, you're very
not
sensitive.
in a literal sense, but I tried to bring some lightness to the show today. Welcome to the PP1 Podcast on Crier Media. You may have heard about it because we've been flogging it for the last 2 days all over socials, so you're going to see more of it. It's where we live now. This is our new home. This is where
we did it.
We did it. Yeah,
New home, same
new
uncomfortable
home.
stool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting on a pillow because I got a new desk here, and it's higher than I realized. So that's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a problem, but I'm okay with that. Anyway, we're getting to a lighthearted chat. I'm wearing a Crash Bandicoot shirt that I got in Santa Monica Target in the United States because we do not have a Target in Canada anymore. And I also bought a Kirby t-shirt and a Mario Kart t-shirt. And Ted's first words as I show him, Crash Bandicoot, totally overrated. Okay. All right.
Truther.
And then he begins to get into Mario, like way better. Okay.
Way better.
Those are two totally different arguments, though.
No, it's not though. It's the flagship. It's the flagship game for the franchise.
But you're just saying it's
like
overrated.
If you're like
I can accept
Sega,
the overrated part. I can accept that. That's fine.
But you're
overrated. Saying now one is better. I'm not saying that that Mario is my.
You got your panties in the twist the second I said it was overrated.
You know what? I just can't. I just can't with you. And then you just started going on and like piling on to this argument. And I basically was deciding like, okay, when you're in that hospital room after you have a successful surgery, and I can't wait to hear that. I'm very excited and I love you. We all remember that Seinfeld episode. George is in the hospital room and you just end it, Jerry. Just end it. And all right. And then the pillow over top. And then that's how it's going to happen. So, and just, I think you took it too far. Maybe that was also too far. That might have been a little bit extreme.
Hey, sometimes friends want to off friends because they say shit like Crash Bandicoot is overrated.
It's a debate I didn't think we needed to have, and it's not
really
overrated.
A debate.
You're saying it's a child's game, though? Mario was a child's game, you idiot.
No. Mario is so much more technical and difficult. All levels of Mario.
Hey, adults, we need you guys to buy into this game. No, it's a child's game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a plumber in a fantasy land fighting a dinosaur, rescuing a princess. But that has nothing to do with the fact that the game isn't better. All the flagship games of all the flagship mascots of all of them, Bandicoot is far and away the most overrated. And it's not even close.
You did those commercials in the late 90s really rub you the wrong way?
Yeah, they were fun. The commercials were great.
They were actually pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find some of those and post those because those commercials. Like,
walking outside in Nintendo with his mega horn, talking all the shit about Nintendo, like so much fun. Just like too bad the game wasn't better.
I just can't side with you on that. It's I just feel like there's something that happened in your childhood that you feel this way. Like I don't know, did like a PlayStation fall on you and like cut your like cornea or something? I don't get it.
It was the great cornea accident of 1996.
That's what I thought. I try to figure these things out on my own, but I'm thankful that you managed to get into that. Speaking of accidents, so last week, I don't know if you saw this, if you could tell, I was kind of fidgeting around as I was typing and loading stuff. I was potting with a burnt thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So we were making pachos, and I probably mentioned that on the show.
You make like homemade pachos?
Yeah.
But you can make the lattice cut fries and stuff. Is that hard to do?
I mean, you can buy them. They've evolved to the point where it is a prepackaged.
They're pretty overrated, though.
Oh, we're going there. Anyway,
they're not.
We're gonna get past that so that I don't actually stop the podcast and drive to your house. Anyway, cut up some bacon. So I'm gonna do the authentic, right? Green onions, the whole kit caboodle. So I've got the bacon sitting in the corner there, and it's just about done. Basically, turn it off, move it over. Got to get both trays because we have one tray of gluten-free fries for my youngest, and then for the rest of us, we had the bigger tray. So putting them on there. Wife's just about to get home. Everything's gonna be timed perfectly. Everyone's gonna have like homemade pasta. It's gonna be awesome. Got Mississippi sauce. We went over this.
Yes,
love it.
Was that me that recommended it to you? I can't remember.
It wasn't, but that's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna probably take credit for that though.
You take credit for the weirdest things, then it bugs me because you didn't do those things and you just want to get me pissed. And it works.
No rebuttals, please.
Yeah. So anyway, pull them both out of the oven. Hot cookie sheets, oven mitt, good to go. But then I gotta move the pan to the other side. So in my infinite wisdom, full on grab one of the pans, mostly. Proceed to burn, and I'm not good with degrees of burning. I'm assuming if you just count layers of skin. So right now that's the main layer. So 1, 2. How quickly can you heal from a 3rd degree burn? I feel like I've asked this question before. We're gonna say at least a 2nd degree burn on my thumb because I ran it under the water. Whole thumb goes white from dead skin instantly. Not a great scene. So get some ice on it. Get some ice. Eventually tape it up. So I was potting with a burnt thumb last week, but I made it happen. And I didn't.
What a trooper!
And now it's all calloused over, which is great. I can get back to normal. I just thought you guys would want to know about that.
Yeah, I think eventually we'll get to talking about Canucks stuff. But I have a couple of questions.
I mean, we'll get to Canucks. There's plenty to talk about. But
yeah, how are you cooking on a cookie tray? Like when you cook nachos and when you cook pachos and things like that, do you go potatoes or chips right on the cookie tray, or do you put a layer down, or like?
So we've got those neoprene, whatever they are. You're asking the wrong person of what the name is, but they're like a silicone sheet that you put over top of the sheet to protect it. So if you're making wings or something that doesn't like cake on there, and then you just clean off this little. So they're fabulous.
So my pro tip for baking nachos or pachos or wings, what have you, is to lay down a layer of parchment paper.
And we used to do that.
Then the whole thing just goes in the garbage, and then the pan is clean. But
so
you're doing something
wasteful, a little bit more wasteful that way, and I'm a little bit more about the environment. So we're just all about reusing. How you like that? How you like those apples? This is the weirdest arguments we have on this show. You can, I mean, if you guys want to comment along on how pathetic this is, obviously our Facebook, our YouTube, the Crier Media YouTube page, we're all over the place. Twitch, that's a thing. Still not into that yet, like on ours. Maybe we'll do a Twitch one day.
MySpace.
Yeah, Friendster. So we're gonna get into that. I've got a rant planned for tonight, and I will get that in at some point. It is Canucks related. Couple things. We were talking about coffee today. I had the day off, so I had a lot of thoughts in my head. But before we get into like serious things, Canucks.
Well, there wasn't really much to do about the Canucks this week, though, was there?
Oh, actually, no.
I don't think there was. It was pretty light week. Not much.
Okay. Well, then, I mean, can I lay into the story a little bit more?
Yeah, hit it.
Yeah. Okay. I figure if we got the time, might as well.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah.
So you and I have chatted about grocery store trips from time to time. How like we operate and planned and this and that. What would you say is like the most impulse buy at a grocery store? I think it's either like beef jerky or pepperoni.
I get that. I feel that. You like the beef jerky, the pepperoni. Maybe you're like walking down the deli aisle and you decide to grab prosciutto or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think that's a pretty good impulse buy. I'm like the exotic fruit stuff, right? Like Hey,
man, could I use a guava?
You guys want to try a guava? Like maybe we should try a papaya. How about a dragon fruit? Yeah. How much is it? Oh, it's only $8.75 a pound.
But you're not grabbing that at the till though. Like you're kind of like you're just like walking through and like I didn't need that, and you just grab
but there's nothing on anybody's list that suggests that you need to be grabbing guava, passion fruit, or papaya or dragon fruit. Like you see it, it's weird, and you want it.
Maybe I'm just thinking North American. So maybe this is a thing in other countries where those are
maybe maybe in South America somewhere they're talking about doing an impulse buy and picking up a Gala apple.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Way to shout out to Gala apples. shout out to the real ones out there, Gala apples. You know where you sit. Oh man. We've really covered a lot so far. I'm very excited. The All-Star game's coming up. Do you see the jerseys that got released? I think today.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
I'll make a Google look right now.
I got it here.
Oh,
for your virgin eyes, because everyone else has seen them. These are this year's NHL All-Star jerseys.
Ooh, the hotness! Oh my god, that is that's like circa NHL 94 8-bit celebration graphics. I love those.
So they went reverse retro on the All-Star jerseys this year, and I couldn't be happier.
It's about damn time.
So I'm trying to like not buy every jersey that gets me excited. This one hits a little bit different. I don't know a lot of times I'm going to be wearing something like that. T-shirts, I think if there's a T-shirt option, I would definitely invest. But maybe I do have to get the jersey. I don't know. I mean, do I get an Eastern Conference Bo Horvat jersey? Do I get a Pettersson's not getting traded, so don't need to make a joke there. But I mean, is it a Western Conference Bo Horvat? What patch is going to be on the side? Is it a Boston Bruins one? I don't know. So many options. Jerseys though, home run.
I feel like I'd have a hard time with you if you stuck a Bruins logo on your Horvat jersey. Yeah. And then
I mean, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what it might look like.
I'm just saying that if we were playing shinny, you might end up in a snowbank.
Let's be honest. I'm probably going to end up in the snowbank anyway. Any one of our close friends knows this, that's just an organic thing that's probably going to happen, whether I've been shoved or not. So
it's not even that it would be me that shoved you. I mean, you're going to show up in a Horvat Bruins jersey.
Well, I'll have the Ruutu jersey, the Finland one, just in case.
Yeah, okay. Suomi, yeah.
Just for cataloging purposes, obviously. And then the Canucks obviously did probably the least surprising thing, and they freed the skate. Way to go, guys. You actually found a way to sully the one thing that was going to buy you some time. We talked about this. Remember how I said they dropped the skate jersey and it distracts everybody from what's going on? The problem was they screwed that up too. It wasn't what it should have been.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty good. It looked bad when it was. Maybe I should let you go before I.
I'm gonna put a few things. I don't hate it. It's still the skate, and that I'm thankful for.
Are you allowed to say that they sullied the jersey, but you don't hate it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just checking.
I think there's a wavelength here that I think I'm allowed to work with. They got the skate, and that's awesome. They got the colors in there, tweaked it maybe a little bit, but they go with the current font on the jersey with the name bar and the numbers, and then it just there's too much there that they've changed, and I know they've done that with the stick jersey. I know they've done that with they've obviously changed the Orca and everything as well. The one thing that we were asking for, and then they changed it for the sake of changing it. That was like the one thing that didn't need to be changed. I mean, if there was a radical way to change the skate altogether and like remodel it, maybe that would be a totally different thing. But they just, you know what I mean? Like there was an opportunity to just give us what we asked for, and they still managed to like change that and make it their version. You know what I mean? Like, we were asking for one thing, and they're like, well, we're going to give it to you, but on our terms.
Yeah, I feel like
that's all I'm saying.
I feel like that's just the Canucks. I don't know that I hate it that bad.
It just bothers me. As a jersey guy, purist is probably the wrong word, because look at me. I think that 1994 All-Star jersey with pink and teal looks better than. Who am I to judge? But I don't know. I think they had an opportunity to just do what should have been done. They released the skate jersey as like a fourth jersey. Was it even just last season?
Yeah, like it's pretty recent. They did a couple of things, right? Like they got rid of the white background in behind the font on the actual skate logo. Like it's pretty minimal stuff.
It's just frustrating.
They didn't really screw it up that bad. Like the yellow is the same size as the red, and there's a black layer in between where before there was a smaller layer of red and a bigger layer of yellow. Like that's pretty minimal change. Like the font looks really good. Like let's be honest.
But it doesn't look good on that jersey because it's the same font, and I don't think it fits.
That font almost fits the wording on the word Canucks on the front of the jersey even better than the old stuff does. I don't know. It's just a more modern take on the same jersey, but it's not. They didn't deviate super far. Like they got rid of the collar is now all black versus being colored. But look, like I'll admit when I first saw it drop and they had just the logo, right? We get what we see the first time, just the logo with just just the stripes on it. You don't see any collar. Instantly had an issue with that. Looks just blocky and very, very plain, right? And then the second you see them with the kid on the back and with a helmet and socks on and in full gear,
it's going to take some time for me. That's all.
And especially like, oh man, like it's too bad he got yanked so early. But
let's do that. There we go.
Yeah, phenomenal.
There we go. See,
it's too bad Martin got yanked so early because his setup was really, really good, and that was very, very on point. And just looking at those guys, shades of Troy Gamble in D'Elia last night. I think, man, it looked really good with all the gear on it. I didn't like it at first glance, and then once I saw it start to take shape with the guys using it, like I don't know, I flipped the switch on it. It was good.
I think I'm going to need some time to warm up to it. They're wearing it for the next 6 games, I think, straight.
Yeah, awesome.
So
I hate that they do this though, because they introduce a new jersey that's cool and we like, and then it's always during a shitty time period where they're about to lose a bunch of games. Then
they're going to lose anyway. Yeah, it's typical Canucks. They find themselves in a win, and then they still find a loss in there. That's fine.
Yeah, it's idiot proof. And then you see the Canucks and you're like,
so here's the thing. We were going to launch it. We didn't know. We didn't know this was all going to happen. Fitting tribute for Gino as well, that was
absolutely
able to work out. That itself worked out a lot better. It is unfortunate, obviously, Gino's passing. An absolute legend for all Canucks time, and what he did for the organization. He like a badass, but at the same time, such a character, such a genuinely nice human being. The stories that we've heard on other shows about it, didn't he go to Russia or something to the Kremlin, or saw the KGB? He's like, I'm looking for Pavel. What? Some absolutely true crazy stories. Just such a great guy.
Well, you made it as a player and as a fan icon when you have urban legends, right?
Yeah.
The fact that that people talk about the fact that Bure and him were best buds, and that Gino went to Russia and visited the Kremlin. Did that happen? I don't know. Is Gino out there enough that we can believe that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you know Gino could speak 4 languages?
Oh, really?
Speak English, Italian, what was it, Algonquin or something like that, and then also spoke Russian because he was best friends with Pavel. I don't know, but maybe
it's
it was there's so many of these stories can neither confirm or deny about Gino, because that was just him. He was bigger than life. I remember walking into was it Cyclone Taylor's back in the day, and checking out all the poster rack, like, oh, like I can get a Mogilny poster. Like there's 4 different versions of a Bure poster. Like, oh, look at this rad Lemieux poster. There's a sweet Gretzky poster. There's this awesome Gino Ojic poster. And like that was literally the way it was. And like it was one of their best selling posters, right? Like, I mean, he was imprinted everywhere with this franchise and like really personified what it meant to be a Canuck back in the day, right? There was the core, just like there's the core now, and there was the core during the Cup run and all that good stuff, right? I mean, it was Linden,
Plasvik.
It was Adrian, it was Bure. You know, there was like you could throw a Lume in there. There was a McLean, and then there was
Ronning.
There was fucking Gino. Like Ronning was there, but there was Gino, and we're talking about a guy who entered the league like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
And didn't stop playing that way until his last days as a Canuck, right? So,
and he carried value even in a trade too. Like, you know, goes to Montreal, they're trading Gino Ojic and he's still carrying value. Like, not to say that he wasn't valuable, but you think about what some of these guys were worth back in the day, and it was still, you know, a valuable trade chip. He was still a valuable player to any team. And again, there was an enforcer rule still at that point, but
so important. Like, Bure was a tough fucker too. Like, I mean, he would come in with the elbows, and he was like a little fire hydrant himself. And there was a lot of times when he could handle himself, but he just allowed Bure to be out there to do whatever the heck he wanted. And everybody talks about, you know, Wayne skating with Semenko and Hunter and all those guys, that if you did anything, you were going to pay. And that carried through to every team that had a star player. And Vancouver was no different with Bure and Ojic. So
that's fair. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it's too bad. You know, we knew he was fighting for a long time. I did a blog post, I think, for Canucks Army. Oh my goodness, however many years ago when it first kind of came up, and I was like, cancer, I think, right? And you know, it picked the wrong guy. Like, if you picked the wrong guy to fight, because he fought it, right? He actually did fight for a long time, and it's still sad, but it's good to see that his battle obviously is over now, and that's something that, you know, he doesn't have to endure. The family can get some peace about it too. So,
I remember being through. We were there on one of our manager meetings, and I remember being in the Calgary airport, and he was there, and there was a small group of people around him coming up and getting pictures and taking autographs and stuff like that. And
no kidding.
You know, I was waiting at my gate, and he had just spent 10 minutes taking pictures of people left, right, and center, and very gracious and very happy. And then there was like, you know, another young couple that were kind of off to the side, and you could hear them saying like, oh no, he's already talked to so many people already. Like, let's just leave him be. It's cool that he's there. We saw him. And he was like, no, like motioning them from across the hallway to come over, like, come on over. Like, let's get a picture if you guys want. Like, it's totally cool. And they were so stoked to just walk over and do that. But he was the type of guy to make time for everybody, it seemed, right? So yeah, super cool, dude.
Too bad. We're going to get into the stuff. I've got a rant. Are you ready for this? I had to proofread it a couple times.
Just do the damn thing.
Okay, here we go. I've labeled it the rant. I feel like I'm like how Matt Sakaris would do, like his welcome mat. The Canucks have officially done it. They've become the worst franchise in the NHL. We joked about Arizona and their 5,000-seat college arena, their money pit franchise being held on a lifeline for decades, and yet here we are in 2023 looking at the Vancouver Canucks and feeling like it can't be any worse. We're on rebuild, retool, lie package number 3, and they're no closer to a contender than they were in 2012. They failed their players, they failed their fans, and they failed the media. They currently have limited media passes for digital media, despite the personnel in the room staying roughly the same for the last 6 years. It's still J-Pat, Farhan, IMAC, Patrick, The Athletic, Canucks Army, a few others as well. That room used to be bursting at the seams, and I did chat with Farhan about that. It isn't as big as it used to be back in the heyday. Questions and criticism have never been basically silenced more than it has been in the last year, and I'll get into that a little bit further. Hard-hitting questions are buried in turn for pressers that skirt around the elephant in the room. In all fairness, save people's jobs. We don't want to see people doing that just because they ask a question. The roster has seen multiple catastrophic failures, and regardless of who's making the moves, Jim and John or Jim and Patrick, it's the same message that it's just too hard and that they can turn things around soon without blowing things up. Enduring one more tough season of Louis Eriksson, Jay Beagle, and Antoine Roussel would have given the team so much more cap flexibility, but they turned one failure into another with OEL and Garland. Basically, Luongo's recapture was just given a different name. the JT Miller thing, now the Bo thing, the PD Bridge deal, Corey Stillman, everything, Brock, that hasn't happened, and stringing along coaches when enough's enough. This isn't a toxic fan base. It's fed up with the lip service it's been given for 10 years. Management has come out to say that they want the top pick this year, but they're also saying blowing up the core isn't necessarily the way either, and they don't want to acquire picks. They want hockey trades. They've made a mockery of how they run this team from top to bottom, and even their one get-out-of-jail-free card, the skate jersey, has been sullied. I've softened on that blow. I'd say this team isn't worth covering anymore, but it's actually the exact opposite. Somehow this team needs to be held more accountable, as it's too convenient that this team hasn't been able to get back to dominance for this long. Selling the team obviously isn't a turnkey thing, and as lousy as a human being as Aquilini's been portrayed, he doesn't need to do anything, but he sunk this team lower than it's been in a long, long time, like Crazy George quitting, long time. We'll be here to blast this team as long as we can, and the media in the room hopefully isn't being punished for asking the questions that get real answers, pauses, awkward silences. Jason Botchford motivated an army. What are we waiting for? The Canucks stole my heart 30 years ago, and it's been on an incredible ride, but there's no way that this can keep going like it is. It's the laughing stock of the league. Everybody knows it, and somehow it's not even embarrassing. We're waiting for this to hit rock bottom. But I thought that was 4 years ago. Boy, was I wrong. There's a lot in there.
Lots to unpack there. Yeah, rock bottom 4 years ago. It's right? It's just that we hit rock bottom 4 years ago and just stayed there. But it wasn't that it got worse. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Yeah. I think it's. I was saying this to Farhan today, that I think it's just that we're so frustrated with the culmination of all these things. It's not that we're mad at this regime, however you want to say it. Hard G, silent G.
Oh, maybe a little bit.
No, but you know what I mean? We're not like mad at them 100%.
Yeah, we're mad near
We
them.
were mad at that it's still this. And that what they said was going to happen. And not that we're saying everything was going to be turned around. It's all going to be rainbows and unicorns. But they're this far in, a year and a bit. And we're getting the same message.
Yeah, it's not that everything's going to be turned around and it's going to be rainbows and unicorns. No. I mean, it is the same. I think people were expecting it to be somewhat the same. Well, we slogged through this and figured it out, but it's the same. But they've done and gone and done and made more of the same decisions as well that the previous regime did in re-upping guys like Miller and extending contracts on guys like Besser, or placing the wrong bets in the wrong spots, or making trades that you probably didn't need to make. In order to move this thing down the line, because you thought this team was going to be competitive, but it clearly wasn't. And now they're in the same state that they were last time, except for had they just left everything the way it was and let this state hit the way it was supposed to, they would have been fine and we would have been better for it. But they let it get to this point and made a bunch of moves and got themselves stuck in the same potholes and ruts that they did with the previous regime, that now we're sort of continuing on down the same path that we were 2-3 years ago with a new regime making similar mistakes.
It's just frustrating because we were willing, and how one of the media members said, well, everybody is okay with, I can't remember how they said it, but that, we're going to be patient, or that they weren't going to be patient, or no, we are going to be patient. We're okay with a rebuild. We're okay with them blowing it up of realistically whatever that needs to look like. We're realistic. We don't want this fluffy, oh, well, we only need to really trade these two guys and I think we can. No, you can't. You can't just tweak it and expect things to just cycle. And it doesn't work that way. We're willing, and we have been willing for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. If they would have done the New York Rangers thing and come out with a letter or come out in a public presser and just said what it was and said what needs to happen, we would have been okay with that. It hurts.
There's just such an ego with this franchise. Like, I'm not talking about its fans. I'm talking about like the Vancouver Canucks as an organization. There's such an ego that they literally think they're better than a rebuild. Like, I don't know where they get this mindset from, or this thought and motivation to be that.
I don't get it.
I don't
get it.
We're better than that. We don't need to rebuild. You need to rebuild.
100% you need to rebuild.
If we start rebuilding now, what are we like? Like, I'm talking rebuilding now. What are we like? 2, 3, 4 years away from being competitive? At that point, we're looking at watching our number one defenseman, our number one center, and our number one goalie be entering the end of their prime by the time this team is ready to compete.
That's on you. That's on you then. You have to live with that. You have to live with, hey, we might not win with this group. But what if we win with the next group? What if all it takes is trading those guys at the end of this, whatever that is, and you trade, and that's when you get over the cusp, whatever that next group is, right? Maybe.
But you have to be willing to do that. This team, I like, they're going to move. Like, it's a very, very good chance. We can't even say they're going to move Horvat because of what happened with the whole Miller thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they hitched their horse to him, so
they did. This is a Miller team now, whether they like it or not, and I don't think they like it that much, if we're being completely honest.
No.
So I mean, they're gonna move Horvat, and only if they do it right can we have an opportunity to kickstart this franchise into doing some good things down the road. That in itself seems like a stretch based on track record.
Well, and what's their asking price? Like, what do they think they should be able to get? Like,
it's got to be a first round draft pick, and plus, whether that means, another draft pick or
listen to that,
a high end prospect.
Do you
or
think
more.
Bo Horvat is worth a first plus? Like,
well,
overall,
he might be for a playoff run, right?
Okay, for one or two teams.
Yes. But that's the nature of trade deadline, right? Like, teams overpay.
I get you overpay.
Right? Teams overpay at a shot to win the cup, right? You're not talking about what this player's value is going to be realistically for the course of the season, because all of that goes out the window, right?
Yeah.
This is COVID times. They're out there paying copious amounts of money for a 2004 Ford Ranger because it's all they have access to, and it's twice as much as it should be.
But it has a Bluetooth stereo.
Yeah. So they have a chance to turn this thing into something, but I'm not sold on this team being able to pull it off. Like, nothing in the last 10 years has suggested to me that they're going to win this trade and do the right things with it. When was the last time that happened? There's been some wins, right? Like, there was, like, if I think back, recently to, and we're really reaching here, but if we think back, like, making the Goldobin trade for Jannik Hansen, right? Like, Goldobin didn't work out, but Hansen was going to be a lost cause. That's the right idea, I suppose, right? And I think they're going to probably Burrows for Dolan. That's that kind of idea. Where you're trying to, like, acquire, average players. You're trying to acquire good lottery tickets to move this thing forward. They've already stated that they don't want draft picks because those types of players are 3, 4, 5 years out. Which I disagree with. If you're trying to get your hands on first rounders,
that's when you're going to be
faster than normal.
Yeah.
But like, we're sitting in this position where we've just continued to re-up aging players, and they're not willing to walk away from them at the right time. And if you were going to make a bet, I mean, we've talked about this in nauseum. If you were going to make a bet, wouldn't you rather have been Bo than JT? Just based on age? Like, what is he supposed to do for this franchise in 3-4 years when they're ready to compete? What are you going to be leaning on your 33-year-old right winger, left winger, part-time center to be playing on your top two lines? Like, highly unlikely. But you're going to be paying him like you're going to be paying him like $8 million a year. Like, what on earth would compel you to think that way? So there's a market out there for Bo. God willing, they can find a way to capitalize on it. I just don't have the confidence in them to be able to do it. Like, do I think that you should be able to get like a first round draft pick plus for a guy like Bo during the trade deadline? And do I not think that there's, 5 or 6 teams in this league that would want him for a playoff runs, conceivably 3 or 4 that would pay the price to get him? Yeah, I really do think that, but I just don't know, man. Like this, it's so weird with this franchise. Like they literally think they're so good that they don't have to rebuild. And using words like retool, it really rubs people the wrong way, right? We've been there, we've done that already, and I think whether that was the intention or not, it makes people very unhappy to hear those words.
The word just, it's laughable, because knowing what a retool is, you're basically shuffling the deck to get some new voices, some new blood in there. You're not moving up the chain. You're not really moving down the chain. You're just putting in some different pieces.
Yeah,
and
good teams retool. You know who retools? The Tampa Bay Lightning retool.
Yeah.
Right? Colorado Avalanche retool.
Yeah.
They add free agents. They move players out. They move players in. They keep the core. Right? A big ass core.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about a core that's like probably 6 or 7 players deep versus one
bursting
that's like
at the seams. Yeah.
Right. And they retool every year. They sort of reload the deck and they keep going. Pittsburgh retooled for years.
Yeah. We could get Kadri. At the deadline. Yeah. I guess we have all those other guys. Yeah. He would probably help us out again.
Yeah. The Vancouver Canucks are not the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Colorado Avalanche.
They have the president and the GM. They do.
Yeah. They do not retool, guys. No. We don't retool. That's not what this is. That's not what this should be. And if you meant it to be something different, I don't know. I haven't listened to the interview, but I'm thinking you probably asked Farhan this question. Is the intent to retool just like Benning had planned on retooling, or is the intent to actually do something different? And maybe the wording was just incorrect.
Now, we didn't quite get into that. What we did get into was that you trade Bo, you trade Kuzmenko. And there's so many pieces to the whole Kuzmenko thing as well. Because
let's talk about it.
And I think we should. So you bring in this guy, you win the sweepstakes, and he comes to Vancouver. Highly touted prospect. He's the one guy that isn't in the NHL that should be. So he comes over.
It's good Fabian Brunstrom.
Yeah. And he comes out and he's going to probably hit 25. He might finish off at 30. Probably not. He'll probably get like 28 or 29. He'll pull a Brock. And he's about the same age as Brock Besser. He's going to be getting $6 or $7 million, and he's aging. And so now I'm so torn on the feelings on this, because
that's his
shit, he is a guy that you should trade. You should trade him. And at the same time, like, what was the point? We're in it for 1 year, a one and done.
What do you mean? What's the point? I think it's so incredibly obvious.
Well, I'm just saying, like, we're trying to rebuild. Is he just not one of those guys we should be rebuilding with? Like, we had our moment, we trade him for a pick and then move on. Is that it?
Yeah, no, I think, you got it.
Okay.
Like, I think that they would like to say to themselves that we would like to continue to play along with Kuzmenko. But that's not where this team is. They haven't afforded themselves the opportunity to have the luxury of adding a $6.5 million forward or a $7 million forward. Who knows? If he finishes 70 points, he's going to be like $7 million.
Yeah.
Just think about it, like, $1 million for every 10 points.
Oof.
Right. So yeah, I think they would like to do that, but they've also put themselves in this terrible position where they have no assets to trade that have any value, Ryan. Like,
I get it.
I think they would like to trade Brock Besser. Who on earth is going to want that contract for a forward who barely lives up to his potential?
And that's why he was saying they almost have to ride him out, ride out that contract.
And you're going to have to, like, and so I think they would like to, but they just can't, right? So the two players on this list that literally, there's 3, I guess you could include Shen on this too, are Horvat, Kuzmenko, and Shen, who have any semblance of trade value. One, because he is a goal scoring machine right now, playing backyard hockey in a system that doesn't require him to play hard defensive minutes.
Yeah.
The other is also playing along in free flowing hockey to do whatever he wants out there. Who I don't know if the going gets tough is going to continue to be an impact player. It's great. He's got a ton of skill. He can do a lot with limited minutes, but he is kind of playing limited minutes, and that's somewhat of a concern with a high shooting percentage.
Yeah.
And then the third is this sort of like old throwback workhorse who has got a wealth of experience and leadership qualities that lots of teams would covet at the trade deadline. And the things that those two lower players have in common is a extremely minimal cap hit. So the whole idea of like, Kuzmenko was just a bonus, right? Like, I mean, we're reaping the benefits of signing this player at under $1 million and we're doing something with it. Well, no, not really. We're not doing something with it because we're not in a position to do anything with it. And the second we turn around and sign him to $7 million or something like that per season, and who knows if it's going to be a longer term thing or a shorter term thing or whatever, there's lots of factors in play there.
Yeah.
Once you sign him to that deal, he instantly becomes that player who's not value anymore. So by that metric, right, or that thought process of like, when something isn't giving you the value anymore, you have to move on from it. Kuzmenko is that. And if it's only 1 year, it's only 1 year, but you can't become intoxicated with the fact that you had one good year from a Kuzmenko and walk away. Just like you can't become intoxicated with the idea of staying with a Luke Schenn because he's just such a good guy and he's the type of player we need for leadership. Like, you need to move off of that and you need to collect assets for those players while they still have value, or you'll run into a situation where you have a player in former glory who's not putting up contracts and is making money that you don't want him to make. There's a potential for that to be a case with JT Miller, and we might already be seeing it with Brock Besser. We know for sure we're seeing it with a guy like OEL or Tyler Myers, and those weren't our, OEL wasn't our contract that we signed, but Myers certainly was. And you just can't have more of those players on the roster. It's fine to make a bet and play in on it and see if it turns out to something awesome or it's a mistake, but you can't have more than 2 or 3 guys doing that, because then you're doing what Benning's doing, and that doesn't help anybody.
Right. So, like I said, you made a great case there. And I guess you kind of look at it as, oh my goodness, like, I mean, you are gambling, but you've bought in, or an investment. You've bought in, you got in early, and you got it for nothing. You get in early on Bitcoin or whatever we want to call it, whatever that investment is. You get in early, you get it for $1 a share, and or less. You get in at 50 cents a share. You're able to buy a couple thousand shares. Well, now those shares are worth $50 a share 6 months later. Well, they might go to 60. Yeah, well, I can get out right now and sell out everything and get a ton of capital back. And maybe I'll buy in another one, or, maybe get in those penny stocks or the AMC or whatever those crazy ones are. But now I'm in the money. And even though I loved having this and it was making me money, and it still might make me some money, I got out when I deemed to be a pretty good time to get out. So I get that. And I think my problem is on that one player, on Kuzmenko, is that it is a year, and it just, you get in, you get this great, I mean, his smile, like all the things about him, the good guy, the good guy feeling that we get with Bo, that we've had with so many players. But if I buy into that theory, then I'm not buying into the rebuild theory. It has to be one or the other. I can't have both. In this case, it can't be both because of where this team sits. So yeah, I would then be of the mind where, burn the world down. Unfortunately, we have to burn the world down to get where hopefully they ultimately will get. So I appreciate you bringing it up that way. I think
best case scenario, right, for the Canucks, I think, would have been that they're in a playoff race right now, and they're talking about re-signing Kuzmenko to be part of this team because they have something there, but they don't.
They're fighting for Bedard. And now I guess here's the other thing.
One quick comparison, though, like if you think about the year that Anton Carter came into play with the Canucks.
Yep.
Just 1 year, and it was a fantastic year. But imagine being able to make that trade for a guy having a fantastic year and being able to get assets that are going to come back to you, that you're going to be able to pay at a league minimum salary for entry-level contract status for 2-3 years.
Have you been sitting on that comparison for a bit?
No, like it literally just popped into my head. I was trying to think of a guy who had a one and done season in Vancouver and was fantastic, and we all wanted him to stay, but it wasn't the right timing.
That was it.
That's probably the one, right?
That is the one. Mm-hmm. I mean, Thomas Vanek, but Carter was way better.
Yeah, like would you rather have 2 or 3 assets playing at minimal salary, and one of those guys can pop and be something for your franchise? Or would you rather like to see would you rather have a guy that's being paid, $6.5, $7 million for the next between 3 and 5 years, 3 and 6 years, and will never live up to his $7 million salary?
Here's what I'd like to see happen.
People will sour on him so fast, Ryan.
Oh, I know. Well, we've soured on Brock, it sucks to say that, but we have. You know what I'd like to see happen? So let's go into dream world for a second. Let's go to unicorns and rainbows. Let's say they get Connor Bedard. If they make these, just hear me out for a second. Magic happens. They hit lightning in a bottle twice. The Kuzmenko and now Connor Bedard. Somehow we win the draft lottery. We miss out on Matthews. We miss out on McDavid. We miss out on Crosby. That sucks. Saying we've missed out on lotteries for 3. Anyway, let's keep this cheery. So we get Connor Bedard, right? But they've moved Bo Horvat. They've moved Kuzmenko. And let's say they move one more guy. So in that, there's likely another first-round pick. It's probably going to be a contender, right? So it's going to be a later first round.
Like a 22nd overall pick or some shit like that.
But you know what? You could probably parlay that 22nd overall pick and likely a second rounder. And you know who's going to be sitting around 11 to 13? You know where I'm going with this. Just say it. Just make
I love it. I love that your dream world always includes Crystal. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to be playing on a line next week at the Top Prospects game. These are the best draft eligible players. It's going to be on TV. You're going to enjoy it. Bedard and Andrew Crystal. Imagine, and they're boys, right? I mean, they go back, Burnaby Winter Club, all that crap. Imagine for a moment that actually happens. So we've not given up. The Canucks have made the hard move to get rid of some of these guys. And now they've got boys. They've got 2 buds from Vancouver, local kids, grew up cheering for the Vancouver Canucks that bleed for that team. I mean, geez, Connor Bedard, oh yeah, the Canucks are going to win the Stanley Cup. I wish he wouldn't have said that early on. That hurts. But you get both of those guys on your team. You got a playmaking winger that pulls off the Michigan like once every 20 games. He attempts it every 10. You've got Connor Bedard who could do that. I mean, that's something he does, but he's usually just like decimating everybody else on the ice while he's putting up an average of 3 goals a game. In the WHL, it won't be as comparable. So you're getting a generational talent. You're also getting his literal wingman on there. Likely both of them don't make the team right away. I would take that option. I would take that. And now Crystal would, that would be my dream. Clearly there's other amazing talents there as well. Maybe they go and try to do 1-2 overall or something like that, and they pull a Brian Burke. I don't know if Alvin and Rutherford have that in them. I don't think they have the same gumption that Brian Burke has. But I mean, that's a possibility. So I think if we can get over what we see right now and we can buy into the fact that, buy into the future, it's probably not the worst. I've had to talk myself through this, and I actually feel a little bit better about it.
And
it's therapy.
And I love that. But like, why what has the team ever done for us to be so enamored with it? Like we're almost guilty of the same things that the Canucks organization is guilty of. And like, what makes us so good that we don't have to rebuild? And the fans think the same way sometimes, right? I mean, I can't get rid of that guy. Like he's just too important. I can't get rid of Kuzmenko. He's too good. Like we can't move Brock. Like there's no way. Brock's a Canuck, We can't walk off from like the list goes on and on and on. Like people are so in love with the players that are here. And I think the players themselves know that something needs to change on this squad. I'm not saying they're out there calling for people's heads and trade this guy and trade that guy, but they know that things have got to change with this roster, and that this roster in any version of it in the last 10 years, save for one decent year, it has not done anything to warrant being stuck together.
A wise man once told me, now would be the best time to trade Chris Johnson. You'll never get a higher draft capital back. And I listened to that man. That's you. And I mean, I didn't win, but I built a way better team because of it. I did.
I mean, what did you walk off? Like, when you made your haul for Chris Johnson, what'd you get?
I mean, could have had Julio and AJ Green. I didn't.
The two first round draft picks, was that what it was?
I had the second and third overall pick. Plus. Actually, plus.
I mean, you still have to make the picks. You have to still depend on your scouting.
Oh, sure.
And your pro scouting, right? Like, one would hope that if you're not getting a first overall draft pick back for a guy like Bo, that you're getting like a high end prospect that's going to be ready to contribute, that's drafted within a year or two and is going to be ready to compete. Like somebody who's playing, university hockey, or somebody who's like, who is out there right now starring for a Team Canada, like a Dylan Gunther.
Well, the rumor is Shane Wright right now. Have you heard that one?
Shane Wright, or like you're getting back a Matty Beniers or something like that, right? Like, it has to be so high end what's coming back to you so that it's going to be a player that contributes now. That might be worth more than a regular first round draft pick to get that one right off the bat.
Yep.
But that's the stuff that happens, right? I mean, if you think about, St. Louis and Winnipeg making a trade and watching a guy like Brendan Shanahan move from one roster to the other, and an up-and-coming rookie defenseman named Chris Pronger going the other way, you have to think that the team that got Pronger made out pretty damn good in that trade, and the team that got Shanahan probably did the same thing, right? Like, if you're giving up something great's got to be back the other way. Yep. And you're looking for a guy who's already established and already found his way as an NHL pro, for one that's going to. And definitely. And I think I've brought this up many times. Joe Nieuwendyk and Jerome McGinley, same idea. And the same thing has to happen for Vancouver to pull this trade off and for them to win the deal.
Let's finish off with the news that continues to swirl, and I haven't looked at Twitter in 25, 30, 40 minutes. So as of right now, he isn't. But the Canucks will be signing Rick Tocchet. Okay. And I mean, that's, to me, John Tortorella, the watered down version.
I thought you were going to talk about Cleveland signing Jim Schwartz as their new D coordinator.
But we'll get into that if you like. Greg Roman's gone as well from Baltimore.
Oh, thank God. I mean, that sucks for everyone else, but
yeah, it's good.
It's good for Steve. Yeah.
I mean,
it would have been better for me if Greg Roman stayed in Baltimore.
But that's fair. Yeah. So Rick Tocchet's coming. It sounds like Sergei Gonchar is a likely assistant coach.
Cool. Yeah. Think about what he maybe does for Quinn's game.
But why Rick Tocchet? Like, what is the value there? What do they feel? Is this another like 2-season head coach thing, and then we're gonna have another guy? Like, is this a long-term bet?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't get it.
Did we think it was a what's wrong with the way the team is right now? Why don't you accidentally are tanking to try to get Bernard? Why not just let that happen?
Just let your assistant coaches run the team for the rest of the year. Let Bruce go.
Leave Bruce out of this.
But let him go. Like, don't
leave it. What is the point? Hey, you're a dead man walking. Just want you to know that.
See you tomorrow.
Don't forget, you start at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I don't want to have lunch with you tomorrow because you're going to fire me. No.
Yeah, that shit's stupid. I don't know what the theory on Tocchet was.
I don't get it.
Couple of decent seasons in Phoenix. I think he's predominantly, and maybe that has to do with the teams that he had in Phoenix, predominantly a defensive coach. And there's a lot of freewheel and fire wagon hockey that's going on the squad right now. So I don't know how many of these guys are going to enjoy it. I feel like a bunch of these guys are having career years offensively.
So are they just basically saying then we're still going to lose, but we'd rather lose 6-5 every game?
I don't know.
Like, is that what they're trying to tell us? Like, listen, we know we're going to still lose. We're still going for Bedard. But if we lose like 7-5 or 7-4, 6-3, like, As long as there's goals, we're okay.
But I'm going to think outside the box on this one, and I'm going to say that they know they're going to lose and that they're going to just let Bruce walk, and that they are going to have Tocchet come in, and they're going to continue to know that Tocchet they're still going to lose. But at least maybe a guy like Tocchet can hold them accountable to continuing to try to play the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to be the kind of guy who really tries to push them to keep them honest, maybe. Because what Bruce has going on here is it's craziness, right? I mean, the team they're just running around backyard hockey, and sometimes it's really fun to watch. So don't get me wrong here. So maybe they're just looking for them a guy like Tocchet to just instill more structure heading into the new year. But is he a long-term solution? Like, I don't
think so.
What are they? I don't know what they're thinking. God, who knows with this team?
Like, are we dealing with like a power-up situation where they're going to just power up for like a season or two like this? Like that? Or are we just going to stick with are we just going to stick with we're just going to stick with that? Like, I don't get it.
I mean, all of us know that Tocchet's the new head coach, and so does Bruce, but yet Bruce is still there and Tocchet's still over there. What is even the point of that?
I don't get it. It bugs me. It like, that's just as a human being. I mean, at least with Travis Green, he was a bit of a dick. No, I'm just kidding.
Was it 31 Thoughts where was it 32 Thoughts where he had sort of thought that maybe Vancouver didn't want this to get out, that Tocchet was going to be their guy?
That's like, things leak so easily though. It is kind of funny because someone has to leak it, right? Like, that information is out there. We know how the game works. But what would be the point of leaking all that kind of information out there to create even more of a storm than there already is? Like, things are going pretty bad. What if we added another thing to the fire? What if we did this? What if we did that? Right? Like, there's already so many things happening with this team. Why would you bother to make all that public? Why wouldn't you let it happen the night before? Boom, 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 boom. Everybody's getting fired. Here's the coaches. Okay, wow, shock value. Let's talk about it. Instead of Rick Tocchet being on TNT and they're all joking with him and he's basically saying he's hired and all these, like, it's such the wrong song and dance to be had. It looks so awful.
It's pretty
cheesy. I think
cheesy.
buy-in on it is the worst part too. Like, imagine, I mean, I guess you have to be pretty thick-skinned even if you're the coach coming in and think like, man, what's going down right now is super sleazy, but I'm cool with coming in.
It's
right.
It must make this franchise the laughing stock in the league.
Well, I did make that point. Oh. Like, you just stew on it for a second, and you just, like, it's gross. It's dirty. It really is. And we're talking
you're with your family, right? And you're like, guys, I'm sorry, my brother's such an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like you're just continuing to apologize. You know what I mean? Like, what is the point of this? I don't.
Yeah. And yet you're bringing him in for family dinners, and like, his girlfriend's a little bit questionable, and like, he's had a ton of bathroom breaks and his nose is super red, and like, yeah, but Uncle Jimmy, like, he gives us cool presents at Christmas time. Yeah. But he just got out of jail for the 4th time this year. And it's bad. It's so questionable. It's gross. Let's finish on a positive note. I'm gonna try to do this on the screen. Let's figure out. Those are the backs of the jerseys. I'll post like a picture. I'm sure you could go online because you're all capable of this. They're pretty sick. They are pretty freaking sick. Those All-Star jerseys are going to hit hard. We're gonna love it. We are gonna get very excited. And oh wow, no kidding. I think we've hit the big time, man. I really do. Get out of here. Did you see that? Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm good, man. I think I've got everything off my chest. I've aired out some grievances. I feel a lot better about the future of this team 4 years from now. I'm going to hate a lot of it in the next little bit, but I mean, geez, we're here for year 4, so clearly we haven't left yet, so that probably makes us just as bad. I'm not quite sure. But you're on mute, I think. Pretty sure. Maybe that's for
I haven't really said anything, so
I don't know, just trying to just figure things out. This has been a lot of fun. You're getting close to D-Day. Sounding like
who knows? Yeah, sometime in the next sometime in the next 40 days.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any dates yet.
Everybody keep Ted in your thoughts, and reach out to him. You don't have to, but it always feels good to know people are in your corner. And trust the process, guys. They had a nice little shout out on their show.
That was nice.
Very nice good words. Guys. So we got you. I mean, as I said, I don't agree with some of your takes. I'm a little offended on the whole Crash Bandicoot thing.
Yeah, hey, out of all the things you can dispute somebody on, it should probably be the video game flagship mascot.
The whole overrated. I'm sorry.
I mean, it makes me feel bad too.
Not a hill you need to climb to declare.
Well, it wasn't a very big hill.
It wasn't. I just stood up and there I was. So we are the PP1 Podcast. We're on Crier Media. We'd appreciate it if, hey, you listen to us on our podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify. Give us a like, subscribe, all those things. Leave us a nice review. We'd appreciate that. Things are going to be big in 2023. No New Year's resolutions. I'm just telling you that's what's going to happen. And you need to come along for the ride with us because it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe things do get better for the Canucks. Maybe this is the beginning of a beautiful start, and all the pain and suffering is finally, getting close to the end. Maybe not. Maybe we're in for doom and gloom for the next 6 years. Who knows? Ted, any final words?
I'm just waiting, like so many people are, for whatever this is to happen. We'll probably go through All-Star week, and then things will get down to business. But there's a whole slew of teams that are in no hurry to get things done, and they're all sitting in pretty good positions. So this thing's been dragged out in the media now. We know. I think that the scorecards are filled out and ready to go.
Yes.
So now we just need to know who the dance partner is.
Wow, it's just so elegant. Or eloquent, elegant, both. You're both.
They're both fine. Yeah.
You're very elegant when you're eloquent.
Yeah, whatever. Worst case, like Ontario.
Keep your stick on the ice, something like that. On behalf of Ted, I'm Ryan. This is the PP1 Podcast. Peace